just to talk about my company, real quick. Redlocks, who are we? Redlocks is a training company dedicated to providing high quality agile and Scrum training programs so that individuals can adopt Scrum effectively. Our website is www.redluxeconsulting.com. So Redlux is REDLUXE consulting.com. That's what we do. So Scrum Master training, product owner training, coaching, resume review, and all of that. We do that. And who am I? My name, as I already mentioned, I introduced myself, Pamela Nolefo. So I have over 15 years experience in technology as a release train engineer, Scrum Master, project manager, product owner, business analyst. I've worn so many hats, agile coach as well. My primary industry that I've worked in is financial services. I do have some experience in insurance, not-for-profit, cards and payments. That's the scope of my experience. So I've been in this field for more than 15 years. And I've seen a lot of it. I can't say I've seen it all. I'm going to see more, but I've started from the bottom and gotten to where I am in my career and seen a lot more. What I'm going to do, however, I just always like to know where people are joining us from. I expect that we do have a very diverse audience joining from all parts of Canada, all parts of the world. So please, in the chat, if you could give a shout out to say where you're joining from so that we can rep your city or your country and understand where all these beautiful, amazing people are joining from. So in the chat, please drop where you're joining us from. Yes, we have Lagos, Nigeria. We've got Abuja, Nigeria. Keep it coming, guys. Lagos, lots of people from Lagos. Stony Creek, Ontario. Manitoba, Canada. Nice. Keep it coming, people. Let's see where you're coming from so that you can rep your city. Milton, Ontario. We've got London, UK. We've got Los Angeles in the building. We've got our cousins from Canada, from North America also here. I love it. Saskatoon. Thank you for joining. Montreal. Yeah, we've got our French folks here. Toronto is in the building. Brampton. Okay, we've got people from ATL. I love it. Like, keep it coming. Thanks for joining. I love how we're joining from different parts of the world. That's the power of virtual learning. Okay, keep it coming, folks. So today, what are we going to talk about, right? Lots of people want to become Scrum Masters, or not just become Scrum Masters, but get into the world of agility, because we understand that companies are embracing business agility. Why? Not just because it's a fad or a trend, but literally, if companies want to stay innovative and keep their market share, they need to innovate or they die out over time. As you can see, like, the world is being disrupted by the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Zooms. There's so many companies that are disrupting things out there. Airbnb, there's so many people, right? And these disruptions are literally like hitting you at the speed of light. How? Why? That's because these organizations have created a strategy to stay relevant. And by doing that, they've also changed how they work. They've changed how their operations are to become more agile. And by changing that, there is a growing need for professionals who can help them lead that business agility in their organizations. And so because of that, they're changing their operations. They have to hire more. They're creating new roles, which Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, people in Agile governance roles, release train engineers, solution train engineers, whatever sphere you are in the Agile world, even product owners, that is fast becoming one of the growing jobs of our time, right? And so that's why companies are doing this. But question you ask yourself, like, nobody goes to the university to become a Scrum Master or an Agile professional, right? Nobody does that. You could go get an MBA, you could go become a doctor, but there's no masters or bachelors for that, right? All you need to do to become a Scrum Master is get training in Scrum, and then start applying for a job, get a job, and lead a team in Scrum. no technology experience is required. However, some experience doing anything else that allows you to work with teams, allows you to communicate strongly, allows you to facilitate, are good skills for you to become a Scrum Master. If you ever go to any of the websites like scrum.org or Scrum Alliance, you're never going to see technology experience as a prerequisite. So the whole point of this conversation is really to bring two of my friends. They're amazing, amazing ladies. I get to work with them closely all the time, and they're doing fantastically well. And I can confirm to you that they never had any Scrum experience before they got the job. They were never in technology, not one day. I have been. They were never in technology one day, and they're doing amazingly well, handling multiple Scrum teams, and on top of that, getting promotions in a short time. So I want them to come and tell you their stories without, they're not going to, no, they're going to like lay bare. It's going to be all authentic conversations. So I'm going to, these are our panel. I'm just going to let you guys wave. I don't know if Wilmy is ready to turn on her camera. I've got Ibiroke Hastrop. She's a senior Scrum Master. Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Good. You get an opportunity to introduce yourself. Is Wilmy there?
Hi,
so I have
everyone.
Wilmy.
Yes, I'm here. Yes. I am still in transit. I can put on my camera for just a teeny bit, and then I will. I don't know if you can see me.
We can. We can see your pretty face.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. So that's Wilmy. She's a senior
camera now, but
she's a Scrum Master as well as an Agile coach. So what I want to do though, while we're doing the panel session, I know some questions will occur to you, and so we don't want to interrupt the flow of the questions. What I want you to do, everybody, is to go browse to slido.com. When you browse slido.com, please enter the code 1019647. As your questions come up, please submit on Slido. We'll get to that part and then we'll answer it. So like I said, go to slido.com, enter the code. Code is 1019647. Someone is going to put that code for you in the chat at interval so that you don't forget the code. So slido.com, code 1019647. So please put your questions there as they come to you, and we'll get to it when it's time for Q&A. So let's go ahead and start. So I'll start with Ibiroke. Ibiroke, could you please give a bit of background about yourself?
Okay, first of all, I need to say I'm really, really excited to be here and to see amazing faces and to talk to people about Scrum, because this is where my passion lies. So not a better place to be but here. So welcome, guys. So brief introduction about me. Who am I? So I'm Ronke, as you guys may know. And I started my Scrum journey about 5 years ago. I started off in my career initially as a marketing officer in one of the banks in Nigeria. Most people will know GT Bank. I worked there for over 6 or even 7 years as a marketing officer, and then I became a relationship manager eventually. So I moved to Canada several years back, and then I was in the quest of getting a white-collar job. While doing that, I tried to get into project management, and I did my PMP certification and all that until I found some people that were in Scrum and I got introduced into Scrum. So yeah, that's a brief background of how I started my journey. And I don't know if there are any other follow-up questions from that.
Okay, so thank you. But just mention what you're doing now.
Right now, I'm a Scrum Master, a senior Scrum Master in one of the prestigious banks in Canada. And I've been in that current role for close to 3 years, although my Scrum journey started 5 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to ask Bomi to unmute herself and also do an introduction.
Thank you, Pam. Hi, everyone. As Ronke said, it's exciting having everyone here. I see a couple of my people on the line. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Okay, so as you know, my name is Bomi, and I am a certified Scrum Master and an IT professional with over 10 years combined working experience, not Scrum experience, right? And I have been in diverse industries such as telecoms, events, and finance, with expertise in agile, waterfall, and hybrid project delivery. Beyond work, I kind of also embrace an agile mindset in my personal life, and it goes to play where I moved houses 10 times in 10 years across 3 continents. I enjoy hosting, gardening, dancing, singing, and I am currently writing a book on my journey as a triplet.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you. We'll love to read that book when it hits the shelf. Thanks for introducing yourself. So the next question, I know, Ibironke, you touched on that while you were introducing yourself. But what were your previous roles about before becoming Scrum Master? I just want you to, really like go into it and say exactly what you were doing before you moved to Canada, even when you were in Canada. What were your previous roles?
Okay, the first role that I started with, fresh off university, I got into GT Bank and I started off as a marketing officer. I did that for over 5 years. And then I became a relationship manager. So relationship management is like, okay, so you have clients, you are responsible for managing their accounts and, constantly communicating with clients and things like that. And finally, I got tired and then we wanted to move out of the country. We wanted to, relocate. So we came to Canada and the first thing was, okay, what next, right? Because when you move to a new country, it's like you're starting from the scratch. And I definitely did not expect that I'll get the exact role I had before. So I had to be flexible, right? So first things first, I landed a customer service role. At that time, it was quite hard getting a white collar job. So I got a customer service role that turned out to be a door-to-door marketing job. And then after that, I got a project coordinator role. And that was like the first break into like a corporate industry, a corporate organization. So with project coordination, I got some exposure to project management and I started, having some interest in it. So I said to myself, okay, let me pursue project management. And then from there, I did PMP certification. I got PMP, I got some other project management certifications on the side. And then I launched into project management for real. And after a few weeks, I realized it was not for me. Why? Because project management requires certain skills or certain traits. One of them is controlling. And, you're controlling people, you're trying to, organization was something that is a natural skill, but the controlling part of it was hard for me. And so the mistake I definitely made was I did not know myself enough to say, oh, this role will be good for me or not. And I started talking to people and then someone told me, why don't you try Scrum? It's like, project management, but as a Scrum Master, you are a servant leader. And I'm like, okay, sounding more like it. And so I started researching. And that was how I found myself in
this role.
That role. And I realized that, I would be better suited in the Scrum Master role. And so that's how I started pursuing that role and finally landed a job and loving it ever since.
I can tell you, because you're very animated when you talk about it, which I love.
Yes.
And like if I hear you, right, like you were in the bank, so you do what in Canada is like financial advisors do, right? Like that's kind of like what you're doing, like a financial advisor at the branch, like managing people's account, advising them on the right products that would meet
Exactly.
their
Right
needs and
products
all
to
of that.
choose.
So, and
Yes.
that did not require like any tech experience. It was kind of like straightforward operations,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all of
Yeah.
that. And then now you find yourself like you're a Scrum Master, now you're in technology. Awesome. So well me if you go if could you also let us know that your specifically the previous roles you did before you became a Scrum Master?
All right. Thanks, Pamela. So first off, I studied estate management in school. I never for once practiced. And then after NYSC, I served at an events company and I was in marketing, right? So I did marketing for a bit and then I switched to HR in that same company. I then moved to an e-commerce company at the time in Nigeria, one of the the big ones in Nigeria at the time. And then I was in marketing again, sales and marketing, right? From there, I was in marketing in an IT consulting firm. And then I became a social media manager before I finally, found myself in Scrum, right? But those were, my past experiences, sales, HR, marketing, and a social media manager for
Wow.
those companies. Yeah.
You have very diverse experience. I like how like your range, like your range, like you've gone through all of that, right? Social media, HR, marketing, events management. But I think all of those things kind of like I think your HR experience will help you to manage Scrum teams, right? Because you also understand that whole mindset of how to work with people, right? And event management requires a lot of
Exactly.
organizational skills. Like you need to be able to organize like time box things because when an event is 4 hours, you definitely don't want anything spilling to the next, right? So
Exactly.
I just love how two of you have this really diverse experience. I know that Ibroke already talked about how she chose a career in Scrum. She talked about, being a project coordinator, finding out that it was not for her, and then quickly pivoting by doing certification and all of that, right? So I'm just going to ask you then, Gomi, because you haven't touched on that, is why did you choose Scrum as a
Um,
career path?
I can't say I chose Scrum per se. I think Scrum found me. Okay, so let me, because that's the truth, right? So my journey into being a Scrum Master was a surprise, like I said, right? I trained as a business analyst, and I had actually gone through interview, gotten offered, but at the time, my husband joined a networking organization, and he said, you know what, join, you never can tell, and all that, and reluctantly joined. And then on one of those days, there was a recruiter from my current organization, the one I work with, right, who actually advertised a role in Agile. And I didn't want to interview, I didn't want to resume and all that, but my husband encouraged me to do that. So 225. I did, and I think applying, I didn't think I would get the job, but I didn't have that experience, right? But he was like, and he's always saying that, what's the worst that would happen, right? So what's the worst that would happen? I threw my hat in the ring, and then that's how I found myself. So I actually did train as a business analyst, but because I felt like Ronke said, right, being a Scrum Master, there's this kind of be like a people person. You have to be able to work your crowd. You have to understand the people you're with, right? You don't control them, but you coach them, you guide them, right? And I'm a people person. So I think that's how I found myself in the Scrum Master role. Like I said, I didn't go out looking for it. He found me, and here I am.
Awesome. So this was a case of opportunity, right? You were in the right place at the right time. I liked how you talked about being at an event and meeting a recruiter, and that's where we talk about networking. I do have some questions about networking much later down in this chat. So I'll ask you to hold that talk because I want you to elaborate it, right? So the other question is, how do you land your first role? Like just talk us through like that process from like you figured out project coordinator was not for you. I know that you did your certification, but like if you could like quickly like summarize like what it was like for you from when you made that decision to getting trained to getting the first job? How easy, how tough was it? Like, I want it to be authentic.
Okay. It was a tough one. It was a tough one for me for several reasons. But first off, I would like to say that the best decision I made, first of all, was to know myself, know the skills I have, know the natural attributes that I have, right? And once I decided that I was going to go for Scrum, something about me is I'm focused, I'm determined. I think everyone should, first of all, have that in their mind. First of all, know yourself, know your skills, know your natural ability that you don't even need to, it just comes naturally to you, right? You understand? So once I decided, I started watching YouTube videos. I wanted to know more about Scrum because all I was hearing was, let's say, hearsay for a lot from people just saying what it is. I was watching YouTube videos. That was my first step. I was Googling a lot. That was even before I took a certification or did anything. I really wanted to know so much about it. And then I got somebody that referred me to a mentor, someone that was experienced in that role and had succeeded. So I've seen the fruit from that person, that person has excelled in that role. That person has some years of experience on their shoulder, okay? So I met with her and we chatted and she accepted to be my mentor. So I could readily go to her and ask questions. So she guided me, right? And then she helped me to understand the process, which is, first of all, I need to do my own homework, see this as a project. I've made a decision, then see it as a project, my personal project, set out timelines for yourself, set out the things you want to achieve with certain milestones in mind, okay? So when I did that, I immediately was advised by my mentor to work on my brand. And my brand is my LinkedIn page. That is the focus where most recruiters will go there and take a look. Work on my brand. I got people to assist me to work on my brand. So my LinkedIn page was worked on and looked good. And now I had to be marketable. And before I start marketing myself, there are certain things that are required by like an average organization, which is certification, and things like that. So before I got a certification, I went to a boot camp like yours, Pamela. And in that boot camp, I can say that because I was so determined, I kind of ate the course. I ate it literally, meaning that I digested everything that was said in those teachings. I was the first person to raise my hand and ask questions because I really wanted to know so much, enough, at least, because there's no destination for you to say, oh, I know enough, but at least to an extent for me to go into that career. So after that, I got my certification. And after I got my certification, I worked on my resume. I had a lot of assistance with that to work on my resume. And then I became marketable. So I started reaching out to recruiters, started, going to job ads and applying for roles. And it took quite a while, to be honest. It took a while because at that time, as I said, it was pretty difficult to get a role prior to having like good Canadian experience, but it was worth it. And that period of waiting was also my time of continuously learning about, reading books. And, I joined a Scrum Master group. And if anyone is interested, I can give you the name of that group where, we just meet once a week. Scrum Masters come talk about their challenges. So I wasn't a Scrum Master then, where I was listening to the challenges they were facing and the answers that they were giving. So I was getting, I was getting so much knowledge that once I entered into the role, it seemed like I had so many years of experience. So yeah, that's how I got the role.
Awesome. And I just want to ask before I move on to Bomi, how long would you say from start to finish? From like, let's just say, okay, you did the boot camp. How long from that time to when you got your first job?
Okay, it took about 3 to 4 months actually from the time I did my boot camp to the time I was applying and all of that, certification, exam, yeah.
Okay, so you said 6 months, right?
3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. Okay, 3 to 4 months. Awesome. So I will ask Bomi, can you tell us how you got started in your job, and also how long it took you from when you finished your training?
Okay. So, I mean, having gained valuable insights as a, and training as a business analyst, I was like, I'm already exposed to Scrum, right? So I was confident that I had what it took to excel in the Scrum Master role. Surprisingly, I didn't even have a Scrum Master certification when I landed my job, because at that time I was looking for business analyst roles, right? But I just felt it wasn't me, it wasn't true to my nature. And like Ronke said, know yourself, and within the first month on the job, I actually did, go ahead and say, let me get my certification, because come on, as a Scrum Master, right, you have to have something to show for it, right? But initially, like I said, I had training in business analysis. So my training and exposure to projects took about 4 months. And then it took me about a month from when I was done with my training. And within that first month, I got 4 offers. 3 were business analyst roles, right? And the other one was the Scrum Master role. And I decided to go for the Scrum Master role because I know myself. I'm more of a people person. I'm not heavy on the documentation that business analysts do and all that. That's not my kind of thing. I get things done. So, that was it. It took me about a month to get my Scrum Master certification. To get my Scrum Master role. And a month after that was when I got my Scrum Master certification.
I like how diverse your stories are. On one hand, we have someone who, did all the upfront planning, kind of read, got all the information to be sure that this was a job for her, because she was self-aware. She wanted to be sure it was a job for her. So lots of preparation there. Did her certification, got resume ready, and it took her 4 months to land the job. And on the other hand, we have someone who didn't even do Scrum certification. She did a business analysis certification. That's what we mean. She networked into the role. She didn't have a Scrum certification, right? But if I'm hearing you correctly, it was on the job you got Scrum certification.
Yes, it was.
I mean, honestly, like that, your story is like, I'm sure people want that story to happen to them, because that's rare. And then we're going to talk about why these rare cases happen and what you did, because it's not going to happen to anybody. It's going to happen to just a few times, and there's always going to be some reasons, right? So you guys are talking about how you landed your first role, because I really believe that as Scrum Masters, you see, after your training and when you start to look for a job, you see, getting that first role is the hardest part of the job, because first of all, you're kind of going to for interviews. You've been prepared well. You've really read Scrum. You've done a lot of self-development and all of that, but I mean, when you speak, you might speak confidently, but there's still, you might not have that much conviction, right? But when you get the first job and you start to do it, the next jobs get easier, because then you already have experience. You know what you want to do. You know what parts of Scrum you like. You even know where you want to take your career to in Scrum, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm bringing like 2 different people, right, to share their perspective. One person took longer, and for the other person it took shorter. So I'm going to talk about so I wanted to talk about specifically, and I'll start with Bomi. Bomi, specifically, tell me what role did mentorship or networking, what part did it play in helping you get a job? Like, I want you to lay bare.
Okay, thanks, Pamela. So I think it plays the hugest part, because if I wasn't at that networking session at that time and applied, I wouldn't have gotten the role, right? Because I think for most parts, especially recruiters that come to those events, they kind of have like an understanding with the organization or with the companies that they represent, and as well as the networking. So like there's a standing understanding between the networking organization and the company that the recruiters come from. So I think that put me that gave me like a foot in the door, right? Because I mean, I didn't have to, after the recruiter came, well, he said, okay, you know, apply for this job and do that. And then I did that. And in the cover letter, I wrote, okay, I'm from so and so network. You know, I saw you came on the for this event. I'm applying based on the fact that you said there was this role available. And then before I knew it, the recruiter called me from the organization, set me up with my interview, and it was just one stage of interview I did, and then I got. So I met with the recruiter, met with the hiring manager and someone else, and that was it. And I landed my role and my job, right? So it played a very huge part. But then if I wasn't there and if I wasn't encouraged by my husband, right, I would not have, because I didn't think, especially coming from Nigeria, right? So I came to Canada January 2021. I did my training from February to about June. I landed my role, my job in July. And I didn't believe so much in networking because we were not, I don't think in Nigeria, we're very heavy on things like networking and stuff like that. So yet we socialize, we do all that, but I don't think it's as heavy as it is here, right? Referrals are also very heavy because I think those organizations especially believe that if you're referring someone, you can vouch for the person. So that's what the networking platform gave me, right? They gave me like an in. They vouched that, okay, this person is one of us and she's able to do the job. And then the rest, right, happened. So it played a very huge part in me getting my job today.
Thank you for that. I actually agree. I mean, I can't remember which roles, any of the roles I did in Canada that didn't have to do with referrals or networking. I'll be honest. I mean, maybe just one. A lot of them have all been the power of networks, mentors, people I know, people I used to work with that get me a foot into the door, and then I go interview because they're not going to do the interview for me anyway. They're at least going to get me in front of the hiring manager. Then it's now time for me to do the magic. And I'm glad that you talked about how your husband said, go to that event. And you showed up, because I can tell you, like I tell that to people all the time. I coach and I mentor, you know, I train, right? And I always tell people, like, I can train you and I'll give you the best training, but I'm not going to get you the job. I'm going to teach you strategies to get the job. I'm always saying like, oh, this event is happening, go there. Some people wonder why I say that, because I tell them like, if you're at home sitting behind the computer, you are going to only see the opportunities that are on your computer. There might be others that are out there, and all you needed to have done was to be in the right place at the right time. I also remember a promotion I got, my last promotion. I keep on telling when they reach out to me and say, how did you do? I said, well, I did the work. I can tell you for sure. Like I definitely showed up like that person that wanted that job. But I was also in the room with the right people when I was showing up. And when the job was available and they said, hey, we think this girl, they were like, we think she can do the job. Because I was also networking, right? So very, very important. I always tell people, right? It's not the best, like people are uncomfortable with doing it, but trust me, like just find your own rhythm when it comes to networking. Some people can take a lot of networking. They're natural networkers, they don't mind. Some people cannot. So if you're that kind of person that can, just, you know, take it in small doses. But I would say that it is super important to be at these networking events, especially for like events like, you know, I think them BPTN, Black Professionals in Technology Network, which is really big. I like show up. What are you doing at home? Like let's go there. Like, you know, chill. We'll see what's going on. Like you never know what the opportunities are. I'm going to go over to Ronke at this time and say, what played a part in your getting your first job? Was it networking or was it mentorship? Because we know they are all two different things, right? So networking is going out, meeting people. Mentorship is more one-on-one, someone who is either in the field where you are that has more experience, that is kind of helping you to avoid the pitfalls, to reduce your time to making mistakes and things like that. They're bringing their own lived experience and their own knowledge to help you stay focused on your goals, right? That kind of thing. So which was it? Was it networking or
Both,
mentorship that helped
actually
you?
But
It was which one?
Both of them played a major role. So how I actually got a mentor was when I went for a networking event. And then I met some of my old friends and they were telling me about their role. And then someone mentioned about Scrum. And then as a result of that, I was like, oh, let me have your number, right? I got that person's number. I stayed in touch. And then when I eventually decided to go to Scrum, I had to call that person that I met in the networking event to advise me on who is going to be the perfect mentor for me. And then she gave me a name of somebody. She gave me the person's contact. And that's how I got a mentor, right? So both of them really, really work. I feel both are so important. You cannot do without any of them. So the mentor, as you rightly said, Pamela, she handheld me and guided me through the process so that I will not make the mistake she made during her time. So yeah, both are very important to get to that.
I love that.
Point,
you know, like I like that, and I would like, if I would share like a really brief history of how I got into Scrum. Mine started before I moved to Canada for sure. Like I got my mentor from, she lived in Canada before I came in, and it was pure. I think it was random, but I don't know. So the bank was recruiting women in technology. I had this resume. I sent it right to them because I knew I was moving anyway. And 1 month after my resume got to her, she reached out to me. I was like, hey, I see your resume. I see you're in Nigeria. Are you planning to move? And I was like, yeah, I'm planning to move. And she was like, I really like your resume and I want to get you into the company. She gave me a call. We talked about it. She was like, I must get you a job. And I was like, I don't know why. And trust me, it wasn't a Zoom. It wasn't a Zoom conversation. She didn't see me. So I wasn't looking good. It wasn't like I came up looking professional, but it was a phone conversation. And meeting her fast-tracked me moving to Canada. I was going to move a few months after, right? But she was like, no, I have this opportunity. I want you to join this program and all of that. There was this empowering women program they were doing, and I had to move up my trip so I could attend that program.
Mm.
And I can tell you, it's one thing that you talked about, Ronke. You said that you went into your program where you are doing your training and you soaked it up. I always tell to people in my class, like, you need to be engaged in the class. You need to, like, you paid money to be in the class. Like, we're all adults. And I know that life happens. We're busy. We're probably working. We've got kids. Even if we don't have kids, we have adult stuff to deal with in addition to the learning. And I can understand that, yes, you might not be as engaged, but you need to be engaged to the extent that you get the most. I went into that program. It was a 2-week program. And I can tell you, like, I took it everything. Like, everything they said we should do, I would do it. And I did it extra. I did everything. Like, I networked. And I can tell you that I only did 3 weeks of active application after I came into Canada. 3 weeks, I'm pretty sure, because I got tired. I always tell people, like, I have high levels of motivation, but I don't like failure. So I always try to stack my odds to succeed, because I don't know if I would take failure very well, because it doesn't really happen to me often. So I'm like, I don't want to fail, because maybe if I fail, would I be motivated? And I was like, no, I'm going to go at it. And 3 weeks, after 3 weeks of applying, I got 2 offers from the same bank, right? At that point in time, I got a role as a senior business analyst in a Scrum team. Like, see, just look at how these random things happen. Like, I just got the job in the team I was looking for. I didn't have my certification right there, but I got in there and I was interacting with my Scrum Master, and I was pretty sure my Scrum Master did not know what they were talking about. Something told me this is not Scrum. I wasn't jiggered, and I went and got my training. So I got my training. So different from you guys that you were getting training to get the job. I was on the job, in the job, and I was training, because I was like, I got the job. I don't know how I got the job, right? But I need to still learn it. So I did my own training while doing the job. And I didn't need to. I could have learned on the job, but I was pretty sure that the person that was our Scrum Master didn't. I don't want to say they didn't know what they were doing, but I guess it depends on the kind of training they got. I wanted to learn better. And that's how I went and got my formal training in Scrum, got my certification too. So like you will me, I got my certification while on the job, and then transitioned into more senior roles in Scrum. So I always talk about there's one size fits all, but one of the key things that I think that I see that it's common across our story is that motivation, that desire to say I wanted to get it. But I know that you guys are like all saying, okay, I wanted Scrum, and all of that. But let's be honest, were there really things that attracted you to Scrum? We're talking about, like, because we all know that when we're doing a job, it's all about economic empowerment, right? I mean, out of all the jobs, right? So what were those motivations? Everyone wants to get in technology because technology pays a lot. It's going to be relevant for years to come. Salaries are great the more you grow. So I want to hear from you, Ronke, the specific motivation to get to Scrum, because we know Scrum, it could have been anything else. You could have become a developer.
Okay. So I can be very honest, right? Definitely the economic part of it was a strong motivation. But just putting jokes aside, the fact that it's agile is the future of IT, right? Waterfall is gradually drilling down because everyone is starting to realize that they need to constantly give their customers something at a faster pace, unlike waterfall. So I knew that agile was the future. And as I said, I knew myself. I knew the skills that I had, right? And I knew where my strong traits were and my weaknesses were. And I knew I was very honest with myself. So by knowing all of these things, I realized that, you know what, Scrum it is. And it's a good paying job. As you rightly said, IT will always stay relevant. It's like medicine or doctors and nurses. It will never go out of fashion, quote unquote. So those were my motivating factors.
Okay, because exactly.
Yeah.
Well, me, you too, because I was saying, like I said to her, I was saying, we all know Scrum. There are multiple roles in technology that can pay you the salary even more. Like, so, like, why Scrum? And you could have done any other thing that could have paid you maybe less or more, whatever. Like, why Scrum? And really, what's the core motivation?
Well, let me not beat or flog a dead horse and say, it's there's always a financial reason, right? But funny enough, out of all the roles or the offers I got, it was at the lower range. But it resonated with me. I found like my calling, right? Just like with HR, you always want to kind of help. You always want to kind of, help people solve something, right? And Scrum kind of provided me with that.
Want to go see him tonight?
Knowing that, there'll be multiple personalities coming into play in the different teams, and you being able to manage that. So as a Scrum Master, as much as you have a job to do, you must also, like I say, you must also understand your crowd. I've been on different kinds of teams. I've been on a hybrid team. I've been on, currently I'm working hybrid because I'm working with both the Agile and Waterfall methodology, right? But the fact that you're able to solve something, the fact that you're able to contribute in a way and not necessarily being the star of the show, right? I think that's what it is for me, knowing that you contributed into solving a need, right? Scrum, at the time, it was more for my peace of mind, right? I didn't want something, being a new immigrant, right? I didn't want something that would task me so much, right? So I chose Scrum because it resonated with me. It was my kind of thing. That's I see myself more. And there was something you mentioned, right? When you're in the middle of a training, whatever, you have to soak it all up. I talked my husband's ears off when I was preparing for when I was doing my business analysis training. When I did my PMP certification, I talked his ears off, right? I am usually when I'm determined to get something, I put myself into it. I immerse myself into that experience to be able to get what, right? Because you don't want to go through all that, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to show for it. So Scrum was my kind of thing. It's resonated with me as a person, apart from the financial implication, right? Or the financial reason, because of course that has to be sweet and juicy, right? But it was more of who I was. And I believe that everyone can do it, right? You just need to find who you are and find how you can apply that into your own. So that's
Good.
it for me.
I love that. I'm sure people who are listening from home or from wherever, you're in your car, you're in a coffee shop, maybe on vacation, people can tell that these two ladies are super passionate. That's why I brought them, because I was like, bring the energy, let's have a good conversation, let people, really feel that energy, and be motivated. We're getting to the Q&A part because I at the end of it, I said it's going to be all interactive. I just want you guys, though, well, Mr. Your last one I spoke. I want you to, briefly summarize 5 strategies for anyone here who's listening today, who's looking for a job. 5 strategies that they should be trying now. You're mute.
Sorry about that. 5 strategies. I would say the ones that work for me, but maybe I might go a bit over 5. First is networking, because that's how I landed my job, right? I was at the right place. I threw my hat in the ring, but I was also ready to defend what I had come to the table with. So networking is good. Being adaptable is also very good. Be nimble, be change, because not everything is by the book. Sometimes you've gone through this training, you've done all that, and then you're thrown in a team where it's not what it is by the book, right? So you must always be adaptable. You must be able to change, right? Depending on your situation. I also did a bit of shadowing, right? I shadowed a senior Scrum Master who I liked how she was with her team. I liked her as I liked how she handled the role of Scrum, and I shadowed her for a very long time to also learn things I wanted to do and things I didn't want to do, right, as a Scrum Master. Having an ally, someone who would fight for you when you're not there, someone who will fight for fight your battles, right? Someone who would always mention you, right? That's something that I think works. And then making yourself visible in your this is when you've landed the job, right? How can you distinguish yourself from the next Scrum Master? Making yourself visible outside of your core job functions, right? For example, I have set up, communities of interest in my organization. I have volunteered to do some admin work on some simulations in the organization, right? Not that I wouldn't learn from it, but you're putting yourself out there. People are seeing you outside what you do, because as Scrum Masters, you're unsung heroes. Because if for a Scrum Master to be spoken about is that there's something wrong with the team, that means you're not doing your work. But if you're doing your work well as a Scrum Master, for the most part, no one hears about you because you're doing so well. So you have to, prove yourself outside of what it is you do. And then continuous learning. For me, I try to learn at least one new thing every year. It might be related to my job. It might not be related to my job, but, continuous learning, because you have to keep learning. If you believe that you've come to the end, you don't need to learn anymore, you'll be obsolete, right? For example, now we have things like ChatGPT and stuff like that. You have to also move with the times, right? So continuous learning, making yourself visible outside your core functions, having an ally, being adaptable, and networking. That's it for me.
I love it. Thanks for summarizing that, because I was going to paraphrase after you did, but great. So in case you missed that, you need to be visible within your organization. That's when you get the job. Find that ally. So, an ally is someone that you really want to be like, that you like how they work and all of that. You want to be adaptable, because sometimes it's not going to be by the book, right? You're going to have to change to the situation. Shadowing is very big. I really like job shadowing, because you learn from people really well there. And then continuous learning. So understanding what the trends are, what are the new tools, and making sure that you are able to continuously improve yourself as a professional. So back to you, Ronke.
Yeah.
5 strategies that help you become.
Mine is also going to exceed 5. There's
I love that. You're giving way more.
But I'll highlight the ones that I really will say helped me grow. First of all, as I've mentioned, even Bumi has mentioned it. First thing, know thyself. Discover who you are. It's not everyone that is going to be successful as a Scrum Master, to be honest. You need to discover who you are and discover your natural skills. You can learn to be a great Scrum Master, and that's another thing. So if you are ready to learn, that means you should be ready to unlearn certain things. And as Bomi rightly said, continuous learning. You cannot do without continuous learning. There's someone that says the 21st century illiterate is not the person that can no longer read or write or cannot read or write, but the person that has stopped learning, that has stopped improving in terms of knowledge. So continuously learning, like the way my personal career journey has been is every year, as Bomi also mentioned, I always look for a new certification or something to add to my profile. Every year I get something new. PMP I started with, then I did CSM, I did advanced CSM, and then I did SAFE. The truth is, life is a competition. You need to remain relevant because people are also progressing. You also need to be at that same pace or even, ahead if possible. So you always need to keep learning. And once you learn the job, for me, one strategy that helped me and it also helped me is remain visible. I love what Bomi said. As a Scrum Master, you're an unsung hero. People will not talk so much about you, but if your team is doing great, nobody even sees you, right?
Yeah.
But so what do you do outside that role? So for example, in my organization, I had a book club. I've been involved in several communities of interest. I have brought up suggestion. I have put on an innovative cap. That set me apart. And in less than 1 year, I got promoted when I got to that organization because I was visible and I was doing something different. So not to say that as a Scrum Master, you are not seen as relevant, you are, but you need to always have an edge because Scrum Masters, all of them do almost the same thing. What makes you different from the pack, right? Another strategy that I'll say helps, networking, mentorship. You cannot deny those things. Those people that I met, I had people that helped review my resume. I had people that when I'm about to do an interview, they would do a demo interview or something like that for me, just to make sure I am prepared. You cannot underestimate the fact that you need people around you to help you get there. And so don't forget how important networking is. If you can get a mentor, get a mentor. If you can get 2 mentors, get 2 mentors. It's good to always have, people around you to help you move to that top. And I think the last one I'll say, I'm thinking now, your LinkedIn profile. Ensure your LinkedIn profile is well-groomed. We have people that can also help you to have a very good LinkedIn profile. That is also regarding visibility. So you have recruiters that come a lot of times and check different profiles. Ensure your profile is up to date. Ensure you have people that, talk about you on LinkedIn. There's a section on LinkedIn that, you can get testimonials from people of how fantastic you have worked with them. Things like that really help make you stand out. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
I took notes. Can I come so you guys will mentor me? I'm feeling
Pam, don't let us get started. Let's just leave it at this. You don't even want to go.
I mean, there's so many strategies, but
can you?
no, for real. Yeah.
You guys go. I'm taking notes. I do want to say something though that you said. I love what you said about always staying ahead and getting more certification, and not just certification, reading more. I always tell people one of the strategies I've done over time, and I did not know the terminology for it until I read it later, but I realized I've been doing it for years. Career proofing. It's called career proofing. You're proving your career proofing for the future, right? Because at the point in time, you're going to find that you were here and so people catch up and then you're no more relevant, right? Or you're no more you don't stand out. You must always career proof yourself. And some people are when does it stop? Well, as long as you're alive and you want to, if you're someone who's very growth focused, you always want to keep staying ahead. So, All right, I'm pretty sure there's so many questions. You guys have been a fantastic panel. I'm so glad that you got to share your experience. I'm pretty sure there's so much more that you're going to share. And I'm hoping that I can call you in the future for other things, right? There's going to be other things that I'm going to bring you guys to talk about. And I'm sure that people will love to hear from you. So future for your career is one big thing. So let's look at the questions and answer them. So someone says, hello, I noticed that most Scrum Master job offers tend to ask for 3 to 5 years of Scrum experience. How do we get a job after training with no experience? Does someone want to take question or should I? I mean, I can answer it. So,
okay, go ahead.
Try, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so short and sweet answer, because I also had that challenge, and I think that's why it took me the 4 months it took me to get that role. First of all, that's what we have. That's reality, right? Most organizations want people with prior experience, but now you have to be able to, first of all, relate Scrum to what you have done previously and let that reflect on your resume. There are so many jobs out there that you are playing a particular role in. You don't even know that you're a Scrum Master, and you're actually a Scrum Master. You're facilitating meetings, you are organizing certain things, you are working with a team. Most importantly, you're working with a team. So then you can relate those prior experiences that you've had, take a sit and think about it and try to put that in the concept of the Scrum Master role and have that in your resume. Don't forget, let people that are, well experienced in the field review your resume and see if what you have put together actually makes sense. And then from there, you can have a good resume that is marketable, even for a 5-year Scrum Master role.
Okay, good. So I like how you put that, right? So basically what we're trying to say is that you already have some relevant skills that Scrum Masters use. You need to be able to and this sometimes it happens that is when you talk to somebody that someone's like, oh, okay, tell me what you've been doing. And from talking to them, they're like, you did this. So they would say like, hey, why not present it this way? It's the same thing you did, right? So most of the times you might have to reach out to somebody, that person that trained you. We also offer services to help you review your resume and help you to relate your previous experience, transferable skills from your previous role, and show how relevant they are to the role. So that's one of the ways to do that, right? Let's see. Someone said, did you go for certification first instead of job experience? Like we said, there's 2 different sides to it. Ronke did her training and did her certification before she got the job. Bomi, on the other hand, had a different experience. She was already doing a different kind of training and was fortunate to land in a networking place that got her a job as a Scrum Master. So networking played a huge part in her getting the job as a Scrum Master, even though she didn't have certification. But maybe do you want to take this?
Yeah, I was going to add to that. So Ronke did touch on something, and you also said you must have transferable skills. I can tell you everyone on here has had project experience, whether you have that as a certification, but you've planned for something. For example, you wanted to have a party. You've had project experience. You've planned it, you've organized it, you facilitated meetings. You must have that experience and you must be able to speak to it, right? So you have communication skills, you have stakeholder management skills, right? On your regular or the roles that you have or the jobs that you have today, there are projects or there are things that you have done where you can highlight those Scrum Master qualities. And I think this will now also feed into the next question right under that says, how did you get recruiters to develop interest? So Pamela, sorry, I'm taking over the show.
Mm-hmm.
But we might as well kill birds with one stone, or how do they say it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Able to transferable skills. Everyone has Scrum experience, whether in form of certifications, like you went out to write the certification, or you've in your day-to-day jobs or activities, right? You have that experience, but you do not know and you do not realize. So once you are able to, and like Ronke said, get someone who is well-versed in that industry, who can help you see those things that you do not even see or things that you don't know you have. And then the person is able to help you amplify and highlight those skills on your resume, right? So for me, I got the job and decided, you know what, it's only fair to get the certification anyways, right? Because Obviously, I would have gotten it somewhere along the line, but I got the job first, and then but I was
She'll be here tomorrow.
Sorry, please, if you're not talking, please mute yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
I was able to amplify my skill sets as a Scrum Master. And that's why I got the job, because I was able to show that I could do what the Scrum Master needed, or what they needed the Scrum Masters to do, right? So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, and then to answer a direct question here, you're going to have to change some of your job titles. And this is because, like I mentioned, you're already doing some of those things that are Scrum.
Yes.
Remember that I wanted to say this, and I know why people get uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable, but think of it like job roles or job titles are what they are. Like people call them different things. I mean, Scrum is specific, right? Like if you're already doing the job, that's what you are, or something similar. That's what you are. So yes, you should change it, but it's not about changing your job titles, because your job titles are what they are. If you don't show like you have the Scrum experience, or you've been doing that kind of facilitation and having that whole agile mindset, you might change your job title and still not even get interest. So you want to make sure that your resume has like good keywords that are agile keywords, Scrum keywords, job title fine, show how your transferable skill, how your transferable skills from your previous role to this. And like I'll tell you, like resume building a resume is not a race, it's a marathon. You're gonna keep working on your resume and going to see the one that works better, right? And stick to that one. Okay, so someone wants Ibironke to can share the name of the Scrum Master group that you were in. Is this group like a WhatsApp group or something?
It's not a WhatsApp group. You can put their name on Google. It's called Agile Mastery.
Okay.
Now it's a group of agilists that have come together to.
Do they have a website or something?
Yes, they have a
Agile Mastery.
www.agilemastery.
So Ibironke, if you could put it in the chat, that would be great.
All right.
Okay, so let's do that. I want a job as a Scrum Master in Manitoba, but it seems that the business analyst role are more than the Scrum Master jobs now. How do we connect to recruiters too? So I don't know much about the Manitoba market. What I'll say is like reach out to me via my socials and we can talk about it. So you can either go to my Instagram page or Facebook page or my website, www.redlocks.com. So www.redlocks.com. Book some time with me, 15 minutes. Let's talk about this and let's see where that's at. But another thing I'll tell people though, like remember that you look at the job market. Everyone has different strategies for the job. Some people might say, I am specifically targeting only Scrum Master jobs. That's all I want to do. Some might say, I have both experience. I'm going to be targeting both, and the first one that comes. Like, there's no either or here. Like, if it depends on what you have done, what you've been trained to. I don't know if this person is also a Scrum, a business analyst, or they're just a Scrum Master. So it depends on what your strategy really is. For your job search. So it really requires conversation. Please, can you show us how to connect with the recruiter? And can you give us the name of the recruiter? What is the question about? Is someone talking about the recruiter that you met?
Maybe they're talking about the recruiter that I met. I don't know.
So,
but to be honest, I can give a little brief on maybe just a little answer for this one. I think it starts with branding yourself. A lot of recruiters come to meet you and not the other way around, but you need to brand yourself. And how do you brand yourself? Your LinkedIn is very, very important, as I explained. In this part of the world, LinkedIn is like the main place where recruiters search for, people, and have your LinkedIn looking great, right? And then before you know it, you have recruiters reaching out because they're seeing something that is interesting to them. So start from the bases, LinkedIn, then you can now start talking about how you can reach out to recruiters. One thing I did when I was really, really, I was tired. I wasn't getting enough traffic on my LinkedIn. I was reaching out to recruiters actually. So I had you know, from those following me on LinkedIn, I checked those that you can clearly see who's a recruiter and who's not. And then people that have reached out to me before, perhaps. And then I reached out to a few of them and told them I was available. But to be honest, that was before I realized that I needed to rebrand my LinkedIn page. So instead of going through that, you know, circle of reaching out to people, focus on branding yourself on your LinkedIn. And to be honest, you will be amazed at how people would reach out to you looking for you to fill a vacant position.
Okay.
Can I
anything else, Momi? Yeah.
Yeah, so there is no one size fits all. It's not one way. It's not the LinkedIn way, or you can't get a job. So just in case it seems as if that's what Ronke is saying, that's not true, or that's not what she's saying. But and it gives you an edge, right? Some people don't even have LinkedIn profiles and have landed jobs. It just gives the recruiters
credibility, social proof
to find you. But that's not the only way, because some people really do not even have LinkedIn experience and or LinkedIn presence and have landed jobs. So don't think that, oh, you know, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you won't get it. No, that's not what she's saying, but it gives you an edge. So that's
okay. And what's your advice to those who don't have LinkedIn profiles? Because now that we touched on that, because you need to tell them, okay, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile or there's a constraint with you getting one, what do you need to be doing?
Network. Attend those networking events, right? That's how I did, and that's how I got. So it was through networking. So you must do something to get it, right? LinkedIn, it can be networking, but you have to do one of those things, right? You know, it's not, oh, this is the only way. No, but there are multiple ways to get there. There are multiple paths to, you know, to the finish line. But you must at least put yourself out there, right? And you must get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? You would face rejection. That's the truth. You would face rejection, but we're Nigerians well, most of us on this call, I don't know if everybody is, we're Nigerians and we're built tough. So you will tough it out. It will be okay at the end of the day. Just don't give up, right? Don't lose faith. Be dedicated, be dogged, right? And it would be fine. But yeah.
So we have a few more questions to get through. This one says, how does one get to women in tech? So I'm just going to try to understand this question. I'm also going to say something. How does one get to women in tech? So if you're talking about women in technology programs, I'll say like go do your Google search. Like go do your Google search and see what women in technology programs are out there. I would recommend one though. If you're in Canada, you should be looking at Access Employment Women in Technology program. It's a very competitive program. They do have limited spots, but there are also multiple women in technology programs out there. I don't know them personally. I just know only Access Employment, but there are multiple ones. You should check that out. Or just go on Google and see which ones. Can someone get to Scrum through business analysis? Yes, for sure. It happened to me. I was a business analyst on a Scrum team. That was how I got into Scrum, for sure. What me to was a trained business analyst and got into Scrum. So that answer is yes. When transitioning from a different career, what certifications can one start with in becoming a Scrum Master? I mean, I can answer this question, but I also want, Ronke, what certification did you get for your Scrum certification?
I got CSM, so a certified Scrum Master from Scrum Alliance.
So
but I need to
Scrum
say
Master.
something. Yes, I need to say something about certifications. You've heard Bomi's experience, you've heard Pamela's experience. The main thing is not the certification, to be honest. Some people will say, I'll rather read books, I'll rather, do certain things to get the knowledge. But the reason why certification is great is because a lot of organizations are looking for it, when they check your resume and all. But first things first, try and see this as a project before you even think of certification. My experience is I saw this as a project and I needed to gain some knowledge. Certification is more of by the book. By the time you get to the organization you work for as a Scrum Master, it's totally different, a different story from what you've seen in the Scrum Guide, to be honest. So there are certain things you need to decide to start working on. Certification is mainly a plus, but it's a plus because, as I said, organizations will look out for it. And you may be lucky, like Bomi and Pamela, they may not even need to see that certification on your resume before they give you a chance. So Now that says that what's on your resume is really, really speaking to them to show that you will be a great Scrum Master. So yeah, I think,
what certification did you get? Was it CSM as well?
No, I got the PSM only because I am.
And please try and say what the PSM. You guys say
professional Scrum Master, because they are not going to force you like CSM to be renewing this thing. I cannot have money.
Exactly.
So that's why I went for PSM. Apparently is a bit tougher, but I don't. But
it's better in the long run. Yeah. So I mean, if you go, if you follow my Instagram page, you see where I broke down PSM and CSM. I do have PSM, and I never ever recommend CSM. If CSM find out, they'll probably like run me out of the world. I mean, I love the CSM, don't get me wrong, but I think that having to renew a Scrum certification for me is really, it doesn't make any sense. There's no basis beyond making money from people. The professional Scrum Master PSM is more, it's slightly harder, but you do it once and you're a Scrum Master for life. CSM is not even, it's more expensive than the PSM, and they make you renew every year. So I wouldn't go for that. I will skip questions about certification since we've addressed them. Is there a website where you can find physical networking events? Yes, go to eventbrite.com and search Scrum and Agile. You'll find them. So, I mean, we're coming up on time. So I'm just going to go to the next step so that we can quickly wrap up. I don't want to keep people too much. Do you need a computer science or project management background to become a Scrum Master? No, we've said it before. That's why that is the whole point of the actual topic today is you don't need any of those. If you have them, yes, you're going to be it's going to be like match made in heaven, like maybe almost instantaneous for you. But if you don't know, you don't need those experience. Never. There's no prerequisite for you to have this experience to be a Scrum Master. We already answered. Did you use a media posting strategy on LinkedIn? Did any of you do that? Coach through the first few months. So invest in a good coach, right? We do coaching at Redlocks. Like you can get a job. You're not really sure. You need someone to talk to. At least someone that can come and say, this is what's happening in the office. How do I navigate this part? So I would say get a coach. So I want to thank you guys. There are just 2 or 3 more questions. I'm going to address that and send the questions out to everybody. So thank you, Bomi and Ronke. What I just want to do right now to wrap up is that, like now we understand what it's like for them, how they go into the job. And like I mentioned, the Redlocks, we do offer training. We offer for a 4-day training that's accelerated, and we offer a 6-week training that is more immersive with real life experience on the project. I'm just going to play a quick video that just explains what the process is like when you do our training. And then if you want to get started on your journey to become a Scrum Master, feel free to reach out to me to get you started. We have a training that's coming up in July. I'll put up the flyer so that you can know how to get started. So this is just a quick video about our training.
All in 6 weeks. Looking for a Scrum Master training that prepares you for real-world experience? Then you've come to the right place. You'll learn all the skills you need to go from newbie to agile expert without breaking a sweat, so you can secure a rewarding Scrum Master role and feel like a pro, all in 6 weeks. Here's how it works. The 4-day training takes you through the principles of the Scrum Guide, Scrum roles, Scrum events and artifacts, and deep dive into backlog management, user stories, setting up Scrum teams and Scrum metrics. Next comes a 1-month period where you'll experience a Scrum practice simulation on a real project. During this time, you will act as a Scrum Master and facilitate all Scrum events, including daily Scrum, sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective and backlog refinement to help cement your understanding of the Scrum Guide. Best of all, you get to use the real software tools like Jira, Confluence, retrospective and estimation tools that Scrum teams use. You will be supported by an Agile coach who will guide you on Scrum best practices throughout your learning process. All classes are virtual. So, if you are ready to begin your learning process and kickstart a successful tech career in Scrum, why not go to our website and register for your preferred training program, and we will see you in class.
Thank you.
Looking for a Scrum Master?
So we have a special sale coming up for Canada Day. If you would like to join the next 6 weeks class, feel free to reach out to me. My contact details are coming up. So here are more details about the training, just for your review. So we have a 6-week Scrum training. We're doing a discount right now. It was $2,000. It's now $1,300. And this offer is valid from June 23rd to July 7th. What are the perks of doing the training? You get to ace your Scrum certification in one try. We have a very robust post-training support and interview preparation, hands-on practice simulation on a real project. So you would actually get to be a Scrum Master for 1 month. You will do all the events that Scrum Masters do, so that when you go for your interviews, you're actually speaking to something that you actually did. We talked about experience, right? Like you're getting that experience in the training. Resume review, we'll do that. Making sure that we're tailoring your resume based on what you've done before. And then there are free Scrum Master templates that I have personally developed from my experience as a Scrum Master that would help you to get through your first 2 months as a Scrum Master, that will help you book your meetings, that will help you keep, understand what you need to be doing at the right time. So that's the training that's coming up July 22nd. So feel free to reach out to me. You can send me an email or go to our website to find out more. Let me move on. So these are all our contact details. You can go ahead and take a picture of the contact details. Email address is info@redluxeconsulting.com. Redlux is REDLUXE consulting.com. You can go to our website. You find more about training, prices, fees, and all that. And please follow us on our socials so you don't miss any of our events, because we're going to be doing lots of free events like this, like actual learning events. There's going to be upcoming Jira and Confluence training. There's going to be story mapping training coming up and helping you understand how did you transition from waterfall to agile. So lots of good content that I'm going to be giving out to the community. So follow us on Eventbrite as well, so I get notified whenever we have some of these are free training. And now, so to wrap up, I would ask my dear my dear panel, in one word, what advice do you have for those who want to transition and are feeling like they cannot make it, like that particular persona? One thing to fire them up.
Domi, do you want to start? You're on mute.
One thing to fire them. I mean, it's not one word, but impossible is nothing. Nothing is impossible. You can do it. I did it, and so can you. It's not impossible. So impossibility doesn't exist. Yeah,
it doesn't exist. You can get a job. I love that. Ronke, what about you?
Same thing around the lines of what Bumi mentioned. There's nothing impossible. So it's not a word, actually a few statements. There's nothing impossible for you to do. And even if you fail, failure is usually a good thing. It helps you to know, what not to do next time. And just be focused, be determined. One thing that drives me, I'm determined. Whatever I want, I get it with the help of God, of course, but determination and remain focused. That's what I'll say.
Thank you, ladies. You guys have been phenomenal. I think for me personally, it's a great way to spend my Saturday. Even though my kids are probably like, Mommy, when are you done with this? But it's been a great way to spend our Saturday, a great way for you guys to impact the community. So from me, Coach Pam, what I would say to people is remember your why. There's a why. There's a reason why you want to become a Scrum Master. I think that for me is so powerful. Like every time I ever stayed on track to do something, I remembered why I wanted to do it. Like that was the thing that drove me every single time and helped me that when I wanted to give up, I didn't give up. But I want to tell you, like, I want to just say this, right? There's going to be times you're going to be overwhelmed in your job search or whatever. It's okay to take breaks. Like, don't feel like you have to, wear yourself out consistently. You might say, I'm going to take a me time for the next 2 weeks because I want to enjoy the summer. I'm stressed, whatever. And then I'm going to come back after this time. And maybe during that time, you get better perspective. You even had time to network with people and get more insights, get more focus. Like, it's okay to take some short breaks, but I want you to always stay on track to remember, like, if I don't stay on track, what do I lose, right? Or what do I gain? Like, it's all about what do I gain